There is a state of emergency in the WNBA right now. Their only star, their cash cow, the only player capable of capturing interest from people who aren't identifying as they, them. Caitlin Clark is out for a minimum of 2 weeks and possibly longer with a quad strain.
The WNBA just got slapped with a brutal reality check, one that nobody inside those shiny executive offices ever wanted to face. The league's entire future was riding on one single player, one injury, one quad strain. And suddenly, the entire ecosystem started crumbling like a house of cards caught in a windstorm. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, the undeniable face of women's basketball, the only real superstar capable of dragging millions of casual fans into arenas, onto streaming platforms, and in front of television screens.
If there wasn't any worry going on in the WNBA executive offices, if there was no worry, oh, people aren't going to turn off, oh, people are still going to show up, if that was the thought that they were having up there in WNBA La La Land, well, now might be the time to hit the panic button.
Now, with Clark sidelined for at least 2 weeks, and potentially longer, the WNBA isn't just dealing with a player injury. It's facing an economic crisis that threatens its short-term survival and exposes uncomfortable truths the league has been desperate to avoid. Because when Caitlin Clark isn't playing, the fans aren't watching, the tickets aren't selling, and the money simply vanishes. This isn't just another player going down. This is the collapse of an entire marketing experiment that was built around one transcendent star.
48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't want this.
2 days ago, the Indiana Fever sent shockwaves through the league when they announced that Caitlin Clark had suffered a quad strain. Doctors ruled her out for a minimum of 2 weeks. But here's the thing about soft tissue injuries. They're unpredictable. Recovery can drag out longer than anyone expects. And as soon as that announcement hit, panic didn't just ripple across WNBA circles, it detonated like a bomb.
The reality is, at this point, we don't know how much time Caitlin Clark is going to miss. If it were up to Uncle KC, Caitlin Clark would miss the remainder of the regular season so jealous, entitled players in the WNBA can be reminded that no one is watching for them. No one is staying home on a Saturday afternoon to watch Natasha Cloud. Outside of Vlad Pooter, no one's buying tickets to see Bob Griner, and no one, I mean no one, is paying to see Angel Reese attempt to play basketball.
Behind closed doors, executives who were smugly confident that the league's newfound momentum would continue no matter what suddenly realized the terrifying truth. There's no backup plan for Caitlin Clark. Without her, the entire growth narrative crumbles. Teams that had gambled millions on her drawing power were instantly thrown into financial chaos. Television partners, who'd built entire broadcast schedules around her appearances, were left scrambling. And fans? They wasted no time delivering the harshest verdict of all.
When it comes to the Chicago Sky game, the marquee matchup in the WNBA, like it or love it, rivalry or not, Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips to get in there.
Within 48 hours of the injury news breaking, the market's response was swift and devastating. Ticket prices for high-profile matchups collapsed like a popped balloon. The Chicago Sky had moved their June 7th game against the Fever to the massive United Center, home of the Chicago Bulls, expecting to cash in big. But when Clark went down, entry-level tickets that were selling for $86 suddenly cratered to just $25. That's a jaw-dropping 71% drop in a single day. And that was just the beginning.
A majority of these are everyday, normal people who watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa, watch her in her first year in Indiana, said, man, I want to watch that. I want to go to those games. I want to experience that. They won't be able to experience it. Time to sell. Families that are going to be driving a state over, 2 states over, commuting 4 hours, getting a hotel room, paying for parking, paying for this, paying. they're not doing that anymore. People from flying across the pond, they're not flying across the pond to watch the Indiana Fever. Stop it, WNBA. They're flying across the pond to watch CC22.
Fans weren't just canceling tickets. They were canceling hotel reservations, flights, entire weekend trips. Parents who'd planned cross-country pilgrimages so their kids could see Caitlyn live were suddenly pulling out. Resale sites were flooded with panicked listings as desperate sellers slashed prices to rock-bottom levels. This wasn't a small adjustment. It was full-blown financial freefall.
Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlyn Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137 all the way down to $80. People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower the price. This isn't all resellers, folks. Hate to break it to you. A majority of these are everyday normal people.
And if you're finding this breakdown valuable and want to stay ahead of stories the mainstream won't tell you, hit that subscribe button right now. It's free. It helps us reach more viewers, and trust me, we go way deeper than the networks ever will. Drop a like if you're tired of the media spin, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on whether the WNBA can survive without Clark.
Angel Reese, Under Pressure. When you think about it, there have been so many classic songs written about the WNBA dump. Obviously, Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie, which directly applies to what Angel Reese and her colleagues are going through right now. An immense amount of pressure to carry this dump of a league while Caitlyn Clark recovers from a quad strain.
Now, here's where things get even more embarrassing for the league. For months, the media had been hyping up the so-called Angel Reese effect, pushing the idea that Reese was just as capable of drawing attention and building fan interest. But when Clark went down, that illusion shattered instantly. Chicago Sky games without Caitlyn Clark playing saw no meaningful bump in attendance. The hype was nothing but smoke.
With Caitlyn Clark injured, the WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to carry the league. I'm not just talking about ratings, I'm not just talking about attendance. The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to maintain the interest of the mainstream. With Angel Reese being the only player with mainstream name recognition, most of the pressure, it is going to be on her to perform. And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to carry the league.
Reese's massive social media following, millions of Instagram and TikTok followers, looks impressive on paper. But followers don't pay for flights, hotels, parking, or overpriced arena food. They don't drive 4 hours to watch a Tuesday night regular season game. They certainly don't move ticket prices the way Clark does. The harsh truth is, Reese's supporters click like on posts. But when it comes to opening their wallets, they vanish.
People might be saying, oh, well, the teams aren't really going to suffer. They already sold the tickets. No. You don't understand. If the Chicago Sky moved into the United Center, and let's say resale-wise, they sold all 19,000, well, when only 9,000 to 10,000 show up, they're losing merchandise sales, they're losing food sales, they're losing beverage sales, they're losing big. They took a big gamble to get into that arena, and they're losing big because it's not going to be full, and those people aren't going to be buying things there.
And the viewership numbers? They paint an even bleaker picture. Of the 23 WNBA games this season that crossed the 1 million viewer mark, an astounding 20 of them featured Caitlyn Clark. Let that sink in. Without her on the court, the WNBA's viewership drops to dismal levels. While Clark's games averaged 1.17 million viewers, games without her barely managed 394,000. That's not a difference. It's a canyon.
2 weeks ago, last year, if you wanted to get a glimpse of Caitlyn Clark, try to get that autograph, it would have cost you $300 to get in the building. It would have cost you $200 to get in the building, $500 to get in the building, and then you got to fight to get close enough. Now you have a pretty good opportunity. $25 to get in the building. Let me make my way down because nobody's going to be there. Hey, Caitlyn, and she loves her fans, so she's gonna sign. She loves her. Hey, Caitlyn, I came all the way. Can I get an autograph, please? It sucks you don't play. Oh yeah, sign. Sign. So, for those that are looking for a Caitlin Clark autograph, now might be your best chance to get that at a reasonable price. I'm just saying.
This is why ESPN, ABC, and other networks structured their entire broadcast schedules around Indiana Fever games. Out of 44 regular season matchups for the Fever, 41 are being nationally televised. And why? Because Clark guarantees ratings. She guarantees sponsors. She guarantees eyeballs. The WNBA's entire national exposure was pinned directly to her presence. Now, with her sidelined, advertisers are staring at empty promises and networks are facing brutal conversations with executives who wrote massive checks based on Clark's drawing power.
My inside sources are telling me that Mama Reese demands free tickets. The Chicago Bravado, they happily oblige because they're also giving away free tickets to the other dozen or so people that show up to the arena.
The financial disaster doesn't end with unsold tickets. Empty arenas mean lost revenue across every stream teams depend on. Merchandise sales evaporate when fans don't show up to buy Clark jerseys and memorabilia. Food vendors stare at untouched inventory. Beverage sales nosedive. Parking lots sit half empty. These franchises gambled heavily on Clark's ability to fill seats, and now they're hemorrhaging money every single night she's out.
I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. It's because of Me Too, and I want you to realize that.
And let's not forget the sponsors. Companies who bought advertising slots for Fever games expected huge captive audiences. With Clark sidelined, their commercials play to far smaller crowds. Season ticket holders who bought packages primarily to watch Clark are demanding refunds or threatening legal action. And in the resale market, fans who shelled out premium prices weeks ago are now lucky to get back pennies on the dollar. This isn't just bad business, it's a full-blown league-wide crisis.
Sorry, young lady. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody would be watching the WNBA additionally for you. This is all about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is bringing the money to the game, the planes to the game, the TV viewership. The WNBA is on fire because of Caitlin Clark.
Even though the mainstream media wants us to believe that Angel Reese is a huge star, we have years of evidence that proves otherwise. Like I say all the time, there is a huge difference between a star and a draw. You can be a star, you can be famous, and still not be able to draw flies to a fresh turd.
Inside Indiana's locker room, the coaching staff is scrambling to hold things together. The offense that once ran entirely through Clark now rests on veteran Kelsey Mitchell. She's being asked to do the impossible: maintain scoring efficiency while facing double teams and defensive pressure Clark usually absorbed. Mitchell averaged 19.2 points last season, but now she needs to approach 25 points per game just to keep Indiana competitive.
Once you remove Caitlin Clark from the equation, there's no reason for people to watch this league, which is why people haven't been watching Angel Reese throughout her career. Her final season at LSU, this was the pinnacle of her drawing power. Angel Reese was coming off of winning a national championship. She was making cameos in these atrocious rap videos with Cardi B and some girl named Lado. Now keep in mind, this was before her public image was tainted. This was before Angel Reese was playing the role of the villain. Her final season at LSU, Angel Reese was filling the arena to 88% capacity. On the road, it was significantly worse. She was averaging just over 8,000 a game on the road.
Aaliyah Boston's role in the paint becomes even more critical. Without Clark's perimeter shooting, defenses are collapsing into the post, daring Boston to create offense under heavy physical coverage. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham are being thrown into the fire, expected to contribute in ways they weren't originally designed for. The Fever's fast-paced offense, which Clark thrived in, may need to completely shift its identity just to stay afloat. And with every loss, playoff hopes slip further out of reach.
her rookie year with the Chicago Bravado. The numbers were eerily similar. It was around 88% capacity. Angel Reese averaged around 8,700 a game. Going into 2025, Angel Reese was the only star in the secondary dump unrivaled. For the first time in her career, it was her opportunity to prove that she could draw. It was her opportunity to prove that she did not need Caitlin Clark to draw an audience. What was the end result? Unrivaled averaged 221,000 viewers.
For months, Angel Reese confidently dismissed suggestions that Clark was the league's lifeblood. She insisted that multiple stars were responsible for the WNBA's growth, painting herself as equally pivotal. But the data doesn't lie. The Reese effect? Completely exposed as media fiction. Chicago Sky's non-fever games remain firmly in the mediocre attendance zone. Reese's own fans haven't shown up to fill arenas when Clark isn't on the schedule.
Angel Reese. She's great at creating stories. She knows how to manipulate the media. Girl, if this dump don't give me a raise, I'll refuse to play. We gon' clap back at them haters. We gon' tell Adam Silver to give us our bag. Yeah, Adam Silver is gonna give you a bag. He's gonna give you a grocery bag and tell you to load it in the person's car who actually had the money to buy the groceries.
Even back in college, Reese's drawing power had limits. During her championship season at LSU, arguably the peak of her popularity, her home games only filled arenas to 88% capacity. On the road, attendance dipped even lower, averaging just over 8,000 fans. Compare that to Clark's consistent sellouts and television dominance, and it becomes painfully clear. Reese may be famous, but she's not a draw. The gap between fame and actual financial impact is wider than ever.
I think so. I think that's the advantage of our depth, right? And we, Sophie had injury early, as well. I think it's the advantage of us, the depth that we added in the off season, that we're equipped. Certainly we'd rather have it early than late. It's a great opportunity for our team to find an identity. It's a great opportunity for our team to play in a different way.
This injury created the perfect natural experiment, one the WNBA never wanted. By removing Clark from the equation, the league's fragile dependency was exposed in real time. Networks left scrambling, sponsors questioning their investments, and teams watching their revenue projections disintegrate. No amount of media spin or manufactured rivalries can hide the truth. Clark is irreplaceable.
I don't think we change how we play. I think we change what the emphasis is, right? Our off-ball actions as opposed to some of our on-ball actions. When we get to our on-ball actions, utilizing our personnel in a different way. You might not see as much of AB getting the ball on a dive and a pick and roll as you would in some of the other off-ball screening actions that get her to that point. Or where our shots come from. A lot of times with C and the ball in her hands, our shots are coming up off the break, right? Now we might get the ball moving inline to inline when we're moving it side to side. So I don't think it changes how we play. I think it just changes the emphasis on the actions that we get to.
The league bet everything on one player, and when that player can't take the floor, everything starts to unravel. If executives weren't in full panic mode before, they are now. Every night Clark sits on the bench, the league loses more than just games. It loses momentum, credibility, and financial stability. The WNBA wanted to believe that rising tides would lift all boats, but it turns out there was only one boat truly floating, and that was Clark's.
And I also think it's a great opportunity for Caitlin to watch the game from the sideline and to grow in almost like a coaching kind of mindset and see some different things that we might be talking about on film, addressing in practice to see it develop in live action.
The WNBA just got a brutal reminder that you can't manufacture star power through media narratives or social media hype. You either bring the fans or you don't. And right now, Caitlin Clark is the only player truly capable of pulling millions into the building, onto the broadcasts, and into the merchandise stores. Without her, the entire system teeters dangerously close to collapse.
There's so many things when you think about Caitlin and her not wanting to miss games. Obviously, she's a competitor and wants to play. Obviously, everyone wants to watch her play. But for me, it's maintaining perspective, right? It's making sure that we address this in a way that doesn't affect long term, that we take care of it. Don't over push, don't overexert, making sure that we take the long game approach to this, so that we're not having lingering issues throughout the course of the season. And I'm glad that, sometimes great players don't tell you when they're hurting. I'm glad that she did, because we need to nip this in the bud.
When Clark returns, every ticket sold, every jersey worn, and every network broadcast will serve as proof of who really moves the needle in women's basketball. The league may not want to admit it publicly, but they know the truth now more than ever. And that truth is simple. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star. She's the WNBA's entire gravitational center. If you made it this far and want more brutally honest breakdowns like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like if you value real analysis without the spin, and let me know in the comments how long you think the WNBA can hold up without Clark. Your support helps this channel cut through the noise and deliver content nobody else is willing to say.